Hey everybody, are you ready for Proof of Coverage version 11? That's right, it is finally set for activation. This time, December 13th, 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's a Monday, everybody. Monday morning, we are going to see PoC version 11. So let's talk about it. Let's see what we need to do about it. Let's discuss the fears and concerns that we have because, quite frankly, well, the last time they rolled this out in November, wasn't too happy with the results, but they got to try again, and this is it. So, first of all, let's read what they say in Helium's Discord. So they posted this on Tuesday around 12:30. After a week or so of stable block production and witness receipt rate at an all-time high, the core developers and the Dewey MOC are comfortable with setting a date to activate PoC v11 once again. Due to some lack of availability of community and core team this week, we will be issuing the chain variables to activate PoC v11 on Monday, December 13th, around 10 a.m. PT/18 p.m. UTC. Please ensure that your hotspots are correctly asserted with the correct location and antenna gain. So that's the first thing we're going to need to talk about. Correctly asserted with the correct location and antenna gain. Most manufacturers have provided suitable defaults for their stock antennas. And as a reminder, antenna height is not a requirement at this time, and no other parameters will be activated on Monday. That means that future HIPS and governance actions by the community may enable features like witness decay, maximum witness distance, etc. But until then, these features will remain turned off. Thanks all. See you next week. So just to take a step back, I'm going to reference something from November 10th. This here is the Helium engineering blog. And while certainly this hotspot firmware release is going to be different, we can look at the Proof of Coverage version 11 activation information right here. So a few things that are going to happen. First of all, PoC underscore version is going to be set to 11. It's kind of obvious. FSPL underscore loss is set to 1. Now this is kind of an important aspect. So this sets the loss factor due to air permeability and permittivity. At this value, it's assumed that there is no loss that is to be expected. Greater than 1 assumes some loss is expected. This value can be adjusted at a later date through governance challenges. So why I say this is important is because it's my understanding that they are going to be removing some of the current variables of how they're trying to determine now where your location is. If you look at your Helium hotspot miners, you may sometimes see something like witness RSSI below lower bound, or maybe even witness RSSI too high. Well, the lower bound is a tough one to understand, just not really a good enough signal, I assume, for them to be able to use. The RSSI too high basically means like you're too close, or for some reason it thinks you're too close or incorrect. So what I'm trying to say here is when we get invalids mean that there is something wrong. And quite honestly, this RSSI wasn't working. So they're getting rid of the RSSI and the SNR, the signal to noise ratio, and their main focus for being able to tell where your Helium hotspot miner is going to be is based off of FSPL, an FSPL calculation. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know a lot of details on how this calculation operates. I understand it has to sort of guess the average amount of, well, other things that will get in the way of the signal going from A to B. But based off of that, it will assume that your FSPL number would be a certain number. And if it's not, then that's the issue that they know that there's something going on. So some people have talked to me and they've been concerned about some of our discussions in the past about not necessarily setting your Helium hotspot miner exactly where your location is. And I have said you could probably be 100 to 200 meters off and you shouldn't have a problem. And this is one of the reasons I say that. If you are, of course, way across the city, it's gonna know that. And you may even notice if you have it set up now in such a way that you may get a lot of invalid witnesses. But I think that if you are only 100, 200 meters from your actual location, you're still okay. So going back, of course, they are saying right here, please ensure that your hotspots are correctly asserted with the correct location and antenna gain. Those are the two important factors they have. I'm saying you can probably still be 100 to 200 meters off and you're okay. It could end up being that I'm wrong and that it's 100 meters. We're going to learn this. I am honestly not going to change my locations until I see what happens with PoC version 11. But your antenna gain, now that's important in this. And one of the reasons is because, well, in order to figure out how strong the signal should be from point A to point B, it needs to know your antenna gain. So it's going to use that data to figure out information. So you do need to set your antenna gain to whatever it is. In my case, it's an 8 dBi antenna. That's what I'm going to set it for. And all of that said, you also don't need to worry about antenna height. Antenna height doesn't matter in this case because they're not using it. It even says here, as a reminder, antenna height is not a requirement at this time, and no other parameters will be activated on Monday. So the only things they care about are location and antenna gain. Now, one other reason why they care about antenna gain is because of the regulations of each country. So the regulations in the United States basically make it so you can't have an antenna gain above 9 dBi. That's the biggest concern, and as long as you don't have an antenna above 9 dBi, you should be fine. If they find out that you do have a higher gain through either, well, the signals or what you put as information for your antenna gain, they will end up bringing it down. They're going to turn the knob down and they're going to give you less power, so your antenna gain will be lower to comply with the, well, in this case, FCC regulations. Now, this isn't actually, in my opinion, so bad for the United States. We can go up to a 9 dBi antenna, that's fine. In other countries, especially in European countries, this is going to be an issue because I don't think you can go above a 3 in most cases. I'm not even sure if you can go to 3, to be honest. Now, please, I haven't done my research. If you want to put the correct information in comments, please feel free to do so, and I will add it to the description to let people know the accurate information. But those are the two main concerns. They want a better way to be able to triangulate your location properly without so many invalid witnesses as is going on now. And they also want to make sure that they're in line with guidelines of the current government on what gain they can use for low RA or long range antennas. That's pretty much it. If we go back to this blockchain release here, you see there are other variables that they're not going to use, like proof of coverage distance limit, witness reward decay rate, and witness reward decay exclusion, but they're not going to be implementing these things yet. So don't worry about them. These are not issues you need to be concerned with. So all I can say at this point is assert your location properly within. I would actually at this point recommend being within 100 meters of your actual location, but I'd still try 200 and see what happens. But more importantly, you do need to set your antenna gain. And I know I have a few hotspots that I have not set up yet. I am going to be setting them up tonight to make sure they have proper antenna gain. This costs 50 cents to change. It's not that big of a deal, so just do it. For those people who have never done this, hopefully you have enough HNT to cover it. Even if you don't, I believe that they will take it from future HNT earnings that you have. Okay, that's really all I have to say today. For any of you who wants to look at more details, you may want to go back and look at the blog post on Helium for PoC version 11 explained and call to action. You may notice that they have updated this information. As they pointed out here, update. The core developers and the DOE MOC have announced the update PoC version 11 activation date of December 13th at approximately around 10 a.m. Pacific time. So, this information is repeating what I said. I think you're good to go as long as you do that. Again, 55-cent fee, it even says right there. If you do have questions, honestly, I say bring them up in Discord. Discord is always a great place to talk about things, to discuss these issues. It's important to be able to understand what's happening so you can figure out the best way you can earn the maximum amount of HNT with Helium hotspot mining. Okay, I hope that's been helpful to you. In the meanwhile, it's day 12 of my syncing issues, still trying to get those fixed. I had another situation because of one of my hosts, their Xfinity is messed up. So whenever an update occurs, it restarts the Helium hotspot miner, and the miner, when it restarts, cannot connect to Wi-Fi. So, it's been off for about 20 hours. I had to go there, restart it. I'm hoping it's syncing to the blockchain now. Such frustrations. I have to say, guys, this doesn't seem like a way to earn passive income. We're going to talk about that in a later video. But hey, for all of you, have a great evening and happy mining.